Good morning, one and all present here. I am AROKIADOSS, Assistant Professor from Department of English, St.Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Autonomous, Cuddalore. Today I am going to explain about this poem, Auguries of Innocence. This poem was written by William Blake. So in this slide you can see the topic now. Next slide. So about the Blake I am going to tell you. He was born on 1757 and died on 1827. So his father was Auguries. He is a merchant and he was develops love for Gothic art, and in his vision at the age of 10 he had about this poems thought that how to love the living things. So these are the vision he had, and joins in the Royal Academy. Then we will move on to next slide. So about the biography of William Blake. So as I said before, he was born in the 17th century. He was a poet, engraver, painter, then mystic writer. Was born on London 1757, as I said before. So early in his childhood he showed a vivid imagination and saw vision of angels in the fields. His father sent him to a drawing school first. Then Blake he himself finally chose to be an engraver by his profession. He is known as the first romantic poet, and his poetical sketches appeared in 1783. This was followed by Song of Innocence. 1789 he wrote this, and Song of Experience he wrote in 1794. Innocence is a word of infancy and childhood where love, liberty and gladness prevail. In the poem Experience, it is a word of inhumanity and cruel under the surface of civilization, where the spirit and imagination of man struggle against mind-forged manacle of convention. So reason and law was his aim. Then Blake's poetry stood for spiritual values and the Christian source of religion, purity and innocence. He strikes a fresh and individual note in his poems, which added a new purity and richness to the language. So through his poem, the language flourished on 17th century. He was driven by one purpose, a regeneration of man. His most sneering style was reserved for those who enshrined selfishness as a doctrine of virtue. So this was told in this slide. Now we move on to next slide, the Song of Innocence. So as a child we behave like innocence. We do not know what to do. So here he has written the voice of piper, then holy threshold. So in this poem, this is a longer part of the poem, in which Blake writes with horror about man's cruelty and prophesies various evils to those who are cruel to even the smallest and the most insignificant of the creature. He doesn't want to do any harm to any creature, any animal or man. So like that he shows. So it is worth remembering that Blake's period was notably callous about the animal suffering. So through continuation, the theme of the poem is love, passion, evil, darkness, destruction, death, chaos, sex and love. So through his poem we can understand how love one another, how to behave with the animal. His poems express vehement and moving protests against the indifference of man towards other form of animal. Then this poem goes even further, conveys Blake's warning against man's cruelty, even to the meanness of things in the kingdom of God. So God has created us equally. We should love one another. These are the things mentioned in his poem. So Blake's poem is of immediate concern to modern man because it evokes before him a grim view of world's callous indifferences to the degradation of nature in the name of modernization. Then we will move on to the poem words. The Auguries of Innocence. The line starts like this: to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flowers. So these lines shows, it gives a meaning about even the smallest grain, that whole universe. Similarly, the flower and the palm of the hand and the heart represents the glories of heaven. So the second and third line tells about this: hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an heart. The robin redbreast in a cage. So it is a bird. Robin means it is a bird. The man used to catch the bird and wants to put in a cage. Puts all heaven in the rage. A dove house filled with doves and pigeons. Shudders hell through all its regions. A dog starved at his master's gate. So man always taming the dog and doesn't want to give enough food. So it is a way of torturing. So predicts ruin of the state, a horse misused upon the road, calls to the heaven for human blood, each outcry of the hunter hare. So sometimes the people catch a hare and kills it, and a fiber from the brain does tears. So through this poem he shows about the animal's innocence. So through this innocence and through his experience are given definition through this poem. The bird, skylark and the gamecock, clipped and armed for fight, does the rising sun affright. So through these lines, author wants to say that the gamecock is used to cockfighting, and for which it is equipped with metal spurs. The wailing sound of the wolf and the lion is so heart-rending that it frightens even the souls in heaven. And the next line shows about the benevolence and the moral aspect of nature. The frolicking deer has an inspiring effect on man, keeping him away from the woes and worries of life. Next he says about the lamp. Even the lamp, even when it is butchered, forgives its butcher. And even the bat, the bird bat has a worthy place in the scheme of nature, as it initiates man into mystical moments of spiritual awakening. The screeching owl reveals the dread of the soul of the unbeliever. So here the author says about the owl. Next Blake warns that the crime against the nature and life in any form will never go unpunished. Then next he move on to the flies. So as flies to Vandan boy catches the flies and wants to kill the flies, and they kill us for the sport. The line suggests that those who destroy life, even its meanest form, smallest meat, with dreadful punishment, their souls will be perished in the spider's web. Then in the 30 and between 35th line says like this: speaks the unbeliever's fright. He who shall hurt the little one shall never be beloved by men. He who the ox wrath hath moved shall never be by woman loved. The wanton boy that kills the fly shall feel the spider's enmity. At last, author wants to end this poem with the words 36 and between 40. He says like this: weaves a brave in endless night, the caterpillar on the leaf repeats to thee thy mother's grief. Kill not the moth or butterfly, for the last judgment wrath night. So it means the grief of the butterfly over the destruction of its caterpillar on the leaf is the same as that of a mother over the death of her child. Then Blake wants, in a very emphatic and imperative tone, that those who trifle with any form of life will face retribution indicated in the preceding lines on the day of judgment, which is coming closer. So the reason why this poem is so long, is full of turn of events, is because Blake tries to imitate a living being's life with full of challenges, ups and downs and difficulties. So the poet at last concludes this poem like this: so those who torment the soul even of the cock, kafir, can ever be at rest and peace. The grief of the butterfly over the destruction of its caterpillar on the leaf is same as that of the mother over the death of her child. So we also should love one and each another. We should try to love nature and the living beings, and also we should try to love one another, our brother and sisters. So with this thought, I conclude this topic. Thank you one and all.